So, this is a video that's been a long time coming. For anybody who watches my channel, I've been talking about this for quite a while. Anybody who's never watched my channel will be going, oh, what's he on about? Anyway, yes, I am a person who's got a cooking channel. I was about to say I'm a cook. I'm a person who has a cooking channel. I'm a person who cooks. And I'm also a sufferer of bipolar disorder, or bipolar affective disorder, as it's sometimes called, or manic depression, as it used to be called in old money. Anyway, yes, my videos at the start of the year were many and splendourous, and as the year has gone on, there's been some time between some of the videos, and what I really wanted to do was talk about why, and the why is bipolar. I've had a couple of quite serious depressions this year in the bipolar mood swing spectrum suitcase, whatever, and I just want to talk about it. And I may well, if there's one or two people who aren't part of my cooking channel want to watch this, then yay. So here we go. I should say, as part of intro part 2, that I think anything to do with mental health, you have to add a trigger warning. Trigger warning. I genuinely have no idea what I'm about to say in the next few minutes of video. I've got a few headings to talk around, but I'm going to be talking about it off the top of my head and as the mood takes me. So trigger warning just in case I say anything brutal, and not trigger warning in case I don't. The one trigger warning I will say is underneath this video there'll be a comment that usually when YouTubers put a video on, they put a few notes against the video, and the notes against the video this time will be a piece I wrote a few years ago and have edited since about what it feels like as an example of me, of a bipolar, particularly a depression, and it's brutal. I've tried to star out all the swear words so YouTube won't ban it, but have a read if you fancy it, and if you really are triggerable, don't. Right, intro part 2 over. Let's get to the subject matters and see where my head takes me. So where did it all start is the heading for this bit. Frankly, this is going to be another one of those questions, and there's probably going to be a few of these where the answer is I don't know. I had a very strictly religious upbringing which had some challenges. Now I'm not going to go into this video slagging off my mum and dad, but there were certainly some challenges. They had a very Victorian view of the religion, and many beatings and many tying to the beddings and things like that. It was unpleasant at times. Pleasant at times, of course. My childhood wasn't terrible, just had some challenging bits to it. And I always suspected there was something a bit wrong, the way my thinking was, the way I reacted to things. But yeah, I was actually diagnosed in my early 20s. When I was working over in the States, when one of the people I was working with noticed this erraticness, went along and spoke for a very long time with a psychiatrist, and right, in an American, right, well, you have manic depression. No, it's terrible. Can't do American accents. I struggle with the British accent. Can't do American accent. Anyway, he said manic depression, and started me on a course of lithium, which is one of the most popular drugs to deal with manic depression stroke bipolar. I hated it, but it did start me down a path of maybe I agree with what you're saying. Maybe I am a bit erratic. Maybe there is something going on here. I didn't know anything about manic depression at the time. I believed him and went forward. I won't say that was a particularly wholly happy journey. There have been some drugs, a lot of drugs. In fact, I didn't stop taking these many drugs until my mid-30s when I was really ill. I think a lot of people would recognise that as self-medication. I thought of it as hedonism of youth, and a lot of the work that I was doing at the time, it kind of came with the territory. But yeah, lithium started, heroin, cocaine helped or not. So that's where it started. Ba-bump. Right, next bit. This video is going to be all over the place, which is a really good description of what's going on in my head at any one time. A video that's all over the place, a life that's been all over the place. Let me start with a quote. The great Australian intellectual, poet, TV personality, Mr. Clive James, spoke about, what did he say? The mainspring of a confessional urge is guilt. And this video, I guess, is a confessional thing, and the urge is guilt. Yeah, guilty for many things. I have been, I've got a cooking channel where recently I sporadically post, where if you're going to open a cooking channel on YouTube, the thing you can do for people and the respect you can pay to people who subscribe to your channel is to post. And the last couple of months, not many posts. I struggle in front of the camera a lot of the times, not because I struggle with the cooking. I cook all the time. I love cooking, but it's getting in front of this camera and going, woohoo, something interesting, woohoo, something humorous. And believe me, when your brain is in a funny or mixed state, the last thing I want to do is sit and talk. Today is harder than I thought it was going to be, even though it's taken months to even get to this point where I'm switching on the video and talking. But yeah, guilt, the cooking channel, guilt of not being a particularly nice person a lot of times in my life. People closest to me have definitely felt the shit that I come out with sometimes. I can be erratic, I can be bad-tempered, I can be at times monosyllabic. Guilt for all of that, guilt for the way I've treated my wife at times, the way I've treated my friends at times. It's horrible, and I've been horrible. So the illness itself is horrible, but the outward display of it is horrible. It's like a chaos. There's another quote I can think of. You don't know who's going to get up in the morning, whether it's Tigger or Eeyore. And at the moment I'm struggling with an elongated Eeyore. So yeah, that's this part, guilt. And I'm sure many bipolar sufferers feel that all the time. You struggle to maintain or any kind of semblance of normality with a brain that's going but then you look at the aftermath and it's a lot of guilt. Next bit, let me take a pause. Right, the first bit, depression. Bipolar disorder is best described as mood swings. You swing between poles, hence the bipolar. And I guess we'll start with the depression part of it. What does it mean to me? Depression hits more than the mania in my case. It's a struggle. It's thinking through treacle. I guess I would best describe it. It's a struggle to do anything. My words today are really, I can talk. I'm a talker, or have been. I've had a job where I've had to do a lot of talking and presentations, so I can talk. But doing this today, it feels hard. It almost feels like there's a weight at the back of my neck, and my brain is sort of throwing words through this treacle that... Have you seen videos of things that have been slowed down and the voice gets deeper? That is how my brain thinks when I'm going through depression. It's a very slower thing, and it's a thing where you don't want to do anything. Your motivation has gone. We all lead lives where life can't stop when we're suffering things, and you try and push through, but when your brain is essentially going, to use a word from earlier in the video, it has its challenges. It is an Eeyore thing, it is a low thing, it is a, as if you're in a mire and the mire is pulling you back into itself. Getting up in the morning is interesting. You sit, lie, staring at the ceiling, knowing you've got things to do, and yet you're kind of pulled back into the mire, into the treacle, and yeah, it's bloody hard. It's there are parallels between the illness and what people suffer in real life, which I guess is one of the things that makes it so difficult to diagnose, difficult to understand, difficult to explain to people. When you say I'm feeling really low and I'm struggling to get out of bed, I know full well somebody going through a divorce or a bereavement or things like that are feeling exactly the same. Doesn't mean they have an illness. It does mean that they need some help and support, but it's not an illness. This will come and go and keep coming and going. And well, I'm in my late 50s now, and I was first diagnosed in my early 20s. Sorry, and this isn't a divorce or a bereavement. This is an illness, and it keeps coming back, and it's depressing in its depression that it keeps coming back. How else would I describe it? I'm trying to think of better good words to describe it, but no, it's very low. It's a very low thing, and the obvious point that I'm trying to build up to, without trying to get YouTube to block the video, is the S word, and that happens, or at least the attempts to happen, rather a lot over the last 30 years. You do, there isn't a physical thing that you want to do the S word. You just kind of want to disappear, and I'll talk more about that in the as I mentioned before, the section underneath this video. I wrote a piece, and that talks better about the depression maybe than I can find words for at the moment. Right, next, let's see if I can do something on mania after I've had a cup of tea. That last couple of pictures that I just posted, I have to apologise if you're not expecting that. Like I said, this whole video is a trigger warning. Part of the SE punishment-y kind of thing that I do to myself is cutting. My whole body has at least some scars like that all over it. It's horrible. It is born of frustration, born of being down, sometimes born of the mania. I hope I haven't upset anybody with those couple of pictures, but they are part of this. And in the summer it's certainly difficult to wear short sleeve shirts in some scenarios. Anyway, yeah, that's the those two pictures. So the mania, being in the down cycle at the moment makes it really tough to talk about the mania, because I have to pretend for the purposes of this video. Yeah, mania is weird. At the middle of the mania, my brain is, or certainly has, an IQ in its 150s. My brain works really, really bloody well when it's in the middle of the mania. But then when it goes towards the top of the mania, then it becomes quite disturbing. And I'm talking like this a little bit. My brain is working like this. It is all chaos. And if you think of a blue bottle fly that's just come into your room and you're sitting here and you're like, God, let me hit you with a swatter thing. Anyway, that's yeah. Very grandiose thinking. I think I'm much better than I am, and I have weird thoughts like wanting to be a benign dictator and take over the world and sort all the problems out because nobody else is doing particularly well, and I can because my brain is thinking like this, and I'm going very, very fast, and obviously I'm more clever than anybody else, although I'm not really not. And yeah. It's difficult. You're trying to explain mania when you're down here. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it is a chaos of its own making. Yeah, mania. Next. So to try and bring the video to a close, what do I really want to say at the end of this? I guess for years and years and years, mental illness was not taken very seriously. It's an invisible thing, as I point out in the piece that will be in my comments. It's invisible. You have to take a certain amount of what we say on trust. It's not a plaster cast you can write your name on. It's not a physical illness that you can point to and go, ha, that's a thing. It's an invisible thing. And what's made it worse of late is that a lot of people are talking about mental health, which is no bad thing, because I think we've hidden our concerns for years. But what it shouts to me is there's a big difference between the mental illnesses and poor mental health. I think a lot of people are having a rough time in the 21st century in the way we live our lives and the pressures we're under, and people are getting poor mental health as a result of it. And we all should watch out for each other a little bit more and be a little bit more supportive of each other a little bit more. As I said earlier in the video, a divorce or a bereavement or homelessness and things like that can on any one day manifest itself as any one of my worst days in the illness. So us all being a little bit more caring about each other is a very, very good thing. But I do want to divide those two things, as poor mental health and an illness are two different things. The illness definitely needs psychiatric support. The illness definitely needs some sort of medical support, where circumstantial depression and things like that are not necessarily, you shouldn't necessarily medicalize, use drugs to sort them out. But like I said, for all of us, it's the bereaved ones, the poor mental health ones, and the ill ones. We all, we're not asking for you to be experts in what we're going through. We're asking you to just be a little bit supportive. The illness people, we should be going down the medical route and the psychiatric route and getting our support there. But if you have a colleague, the most we can ask from you is a cup of tea and a little bit of understanding. We don't need you to be our psychiatrist. We need you to, make a cup of tea, a British thing, obviously, and be a little bit more understanding. And like I say, I think that works as much for the mental illnesses as the poor mental health. We're 21st century at the moment is a weird place to be. Social media has become a very strange thing for people, you know, where we're looking for likes, and if we're not getting likes, we're not feeling valued. And I sense that a bit having a cooking channel. I've probably had about 20 or 30 likes in a year. But luckily for me, I'm not looking for likes. I am essentially doing cooking for me and hoping that one or two of you get something out of it. It's the channel for me is more remembering what I've cooked in the past, because my brain is so chaotic. I often don't cook the same things twice. So it's a record for me to go, oh, is that how you did it? So I'm not massively desperately looking for your likes, but I know a lot of younger people, because they live in social media, that likes is what they're after, and then if they don't get it, it can produce poor mental health because of the expectations. But yeah, let's just all be a bit kind to each other and a little bit supportive of each other. And yeah, I don't really know what more to say without making this video ridiculously long. I hope it's been of any use to anybody. You know, if I get one person who said that's helped me out, then that's as much as this is for. Again, the video is probably as much for a record of me talking about my own illness than it is anything else. But yeah, thank you for staying this far. There will be lots and lots more cooking videos to come. You know, I'm coming out of the depression slowly. I think I've got about 6 or 7 videos that I've recorded that I haven't done the voiceover for. So they'll be coming fairly soon. Anyway, thank you very, very much. This is a difficult subject to talk about, and I hope somebody's got something out of it. I'm not judgmental, so anything I've said in the last couple of minutes is not about judging people. It's about 30 years of experience of seeing and talking to people with illness, and seeing and talking to people with circumstantial problems in their life. There are differences, even though, as I said, they often feel the same on any particular day. So thank you very, very much for following. Thank you very much for watching this video, and more cooking and stirring and burning and steaming and things to come. Take care. Bye bye.